Hi, my name is Sylvia Pareda, and today we're going to be looking at the Oregon Health Authority mobile website and going through the redesign process. A little bit about me. I have a background in journalism, public relations, and community engagement. I write a lot, and my work has led me to work with different stakeholders, both in English and Spanish. And then you see my teammate down here, Gally, mostly here for moral support. And a brief introduction about the Oregon Health Authority. Of course, it is the voice of authority across Oregon, providing essential information about the COVID-19 pandemic, but really looking at the information axis, which is really vital in order to slow the spread of the virus. And so it's really, really important for equitable messaging and key messaging to reach those vulnerable populations. And I'm looking specifically at Spanish speaking population here because even though they don't make the highest percentage of the population here in Oregon, they have been disproportionately impacted. And so really the OHA website serves as an information hub. They have this website here, Oregon.gov, gives you a sense of trust and security that it's a reliable source. The URL is a little hard to remember and had to do a few different clicks in order to find it. But really, the OHA relies on delivering information to stakeholders um, from different sources, such as the CDC, local doctors, and of course, Governor Kate Brown. Some of the competitors aren't necessarily working against OHA, but rather within their own stakeholders. Here's Washington State, here's California. Really, what their competitors is reaching that targeted audience or multiple stakeholders within each agency. You see Washington State really trying to go for that equitable information access here over here in California, same language drop down menu, top easily found, and nudges here for people, what's open, testing, symptoms, wearing a mask. But really, the purpose of this research is to analyze the user experience and the user interaction of the OHA website and determine what areas that it can be improved on. And so some of the pain points that I found was information actions on the website was tailored more towards media, medical health experts, and predominantly English speakers. I'll get back to English speakers in a second, but information access saw a lot of dashboards, saw a lot of text heavy information that the average person doesn't necessarily need. And so they have to wind through the clutter to find what they're looking for. And so some of those features also, again, there were some sections that were sectioned off, but not too many. And so I found that was one of their weaknesses, that a lot of the links were PDFs that weren't fully translated, which brings me to accessibility. Google Translate was on the corner, not the best reliable source for information equity compared to what other state agencies are doing, health state agencies specifically. And then lastly, the branding, a little lackluster, not very bright, bold headings like we saw in the California COVID-19 website. And then that URL was just not easily memorable on the OHA website. That led me to a perceived problem statement that I think OHA wants to do. They, of course, are seen as the voice of authority, but they want to provide accurate, reliable, and equitable information about COVID-19, especially to communities that are being disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. Again, in this case, Spanish speaking communities is what I was looking at. And so I was lucky and fortunate enough to have three stakeholders that were bilingual, Spanish and English, but also multi-generational. English predominantly, Spanish second, their second language. And then also Spanish native, Spanish language native, but English, their second language that they know. And then I did observation research, nudging them through the whole website process, even finding it was hard for them because not an easy memorable URL. And then I also did secondary research just to back up everything, news articles, news websites, things like that. Focus groups, a lot of nonprofits here in Oregon are doing focus groups and research and trying to figure out how the pandemic is affecting these BIPOC communities across the state. And so my interviews really kind of honed in and reaffirmed that, you know, they do want to see multiple language options visible. They want them to be bright and at the top. And that brings back to bold headers, big bold headers and sections. They really want to have the navigation process be streamlined. There was a lot of text on the OHA website. And so that led to a lot of endless scrolling. So that was something they really wanted to see brighten up. It felt not modern to some people. And then the data, they just wanted to see that converted into more visual infographics or contextual images that represented the population or the city. Infographics, things like how to wear a mask properly, how to wash your hands, and things like that, especially for those working in the small business or restaurant industry, was very important to them. And of course, they wanted a memorable URL. And so here is some of the themes that came about in those interviews. A lot of my stakeholders in this interview use social media, Twitter, Google, internet, to find information about COVID versus traditional media like TV or newspapers. These are some of the emotions they felt. They wanted to feel like they are on the right spot. They want to see, look, find, know. So this kind of reaffirms everything. And so that led me to these three personas based on my interviews at Cristina Ruiz, first generation Latina health worker, Jose Alfredo, who is a US citizen, but first language is Spanish and wants that information accessibility there. And then Louis Gomez, who I actually took into account for the whole prototype. And I was inspired through that and the New York Health Agency, only because that was one of the first hotspots, and trying to see how they were able to navigate that space. And I was pleasantly surprised by their website, how well tailored and sectioned off and clear it was. And so with Louis, it was relevant. It just happened to be relevant with storyboard process too. He heard that the 2-week freeze was implemented. He wanted to pass along the information to his managers and employees. He wanted a reliable source. And so I really took that to sketch out a homepage and then try to figure out the buckets of information and deciding what goes first and in what order, and that whole user experience flow. So again, Louis is the manager of small business in Portland. He's looking for information to share with his customers and staff. Here are some of the prototype pages for Louis. He sees the logo, so he knows that the right spot is a trusted source. He sees the most important information here, that 2-week freeze in effect across Oregon. This drop-down menu again, because it's a government state agency website, and with the wildfires raging, takes you back to that homepage. But really what he's looking for is coronavirus updates, resources, and he's looking for community resources right here. And so just streamlining that process to end that endless scrolling is super helpful. This second phase, this is really tailored to several stakeholders seeking information for their specific industry. For Louis, that would be small businesses here. He would click on this square here that's hyperlinked, really box uniform, bright colors. And toolkits he can download for his employees and staff and coworkers, multiple languages. it kind of reaffirmed everything to in my evaluation. Of course, we weren't able to test it out, but the pain points and the insights really aligned into what I found was the strengths and weaknesses of the OHA website and what my uh, personas and interviews and research wanted to see. Thank you.